Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? 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 Do-do-do. Do-do-do. I am back after about a week away from the podcast, and it's great to see everybody's face through this camera. Lots have gone on in the last week or so. I had a flu Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I started to finally feel better on Friday. So if you're wondering, where is Minnesota Tim in my life? I need him back. Well, I was sick. I was puking. I had diarrhea. It was a rough week health-wise. But here I am wearing my Randy Moss NFL Blitz 2000 shirt from Jacob Wandersee, here to discuss more Minnesota Vikings news and notes that have surfaced within the last week following the NFL draft. And the most exciting talking point right now, after the Minnesota Vikings had a sensational NFL draft, one of the best NFL drafts the Minnesota Vikings have had in years, on paper. Now here's the deal. It is on paper. We don't know if these guys are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. But on paper, it looks like the Minnesota Vikings had a sensational, unbelievable draft. And I don't think it's just a feeling that we're having, because I'm trying to be very aware of my feelings and the accuracy or the truthfulness of those feelings. Because you can feel a certain way, but if it's not a truthful feeling, well, then that feeling is complete garbage. That feeling means absolutely nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But when I take my Minnesota Vikings draft feelings and I put it up against the truth of what actually happened, I believe that this is one of the best drafts from the Minnesota Vikings in years. Because the feeling that we're getting is that they finally did something aggressive. They didn't trade back for a crappy safety like Lewis Seen. They didn't trade back for an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, something along those lines. They didn't trade back and get an Andrew Booth Jr. or a quarterback that absolutely is going to bomb next year. They traded up one spot, not 6 spots, to the number 5 spot to draft J.J. McCarthy. And then they traded up a few spots, I believe it was 6. They traded from number 23 to number 17 to draft Dallas Turner. And here's why we should be very excited as Minnesota Vikings fans. We should be excited as Minnesota Vikings fans because they did not mortgage their future to get the guy they wanted in this NFL draft. They did not trade away future first-round picks in the NFL draft to get the same guy that they were going to get at number 10 or number 11. And that's why I'm so hopeful. That's why I'm so excited. And not only did they get the quarterback that they wanted in this year's NFL draft, but they also got a spectacular, one of the top defensive linemen in the entire draft. And they did all of it without trading next year's first round pick. And this was my expectation entering the draft. I thought, and I've been on this for a while, and I'm glad to say I was wrong. I anticipated that the Minnesota Vikings would trade up to number 5. And I wasn't the only one. People have been saying this all week, all offseason. I anticipated that the Minnesota Vikings would trade up to number 5, take number 11, take number 23, and take a first-round pick next year or a third-round pick next year to get J.J. McCarthy. Instead of doing that, they trade 11 and a couple mid-round picks up to number 10 and got a mid-round pick back from the Jets to get the same guy. And then they take number 23 trade up to 17 with the Jacksonville Jaguars and get their top defensive guy in this NFL draft, which is why Kevin O'Connell, when it was announced to him that they were going to get Dallas Turner, turned towards Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah with this absolutely stunned look in his eyes. And he was like, wow. Wow. It's like when I saw a pair of boobies for the first time in my life. When I was married to my wife, I said, wow. Is this real life? Wow. I don't think it's just a feeling. I think it is fact-based that the Minnesota Vikings annihilated, decimated this NFL draft. This take was presented by Hoagland Farm. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541 for the best rotationally grazed with 100% grass-fed beef. Contact Jared and get 20% off your first order by telling him you heard about Hoagland Farm on the Minnesota Tim podcast. Best beef around. Get your beef today. Contact Jared, 952-491-1541. Thank you for watching and for listening. Minnesota Tim is back. Everyone, have a great day, and thank you for making this podcast and this episode a part of your day.